Hey, baby.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Apopka High School welcomes you to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for game number 10 of the 9th annual Metro vs. Florida Challenge. It's brought to you by Burn Pad Orlando and St. Germain Chiropractic Clinic. Please welcome our guests from Winter Haven High School wearing the blue jerseys. Visitors on the scoreboard, they are the Blue Devils. And wearing the white jerseys, home on the scoreboard, representing the Orlando Metro Conference from Olympia High School, we welcome the Titans. Let's meet the teams, and we'll begin with our guests from Winter Haven. And we'll start for Winter Haven at forward with 6'3" junior number 0, Malachi Howard. At point guard, 5'8" sophomore number 1, Jacoby Lane. At forward, 6'5" junior number 14, Eric Davis. At shooting guard and wing, 6'4" senior number 15, Timmy Watts. And finally for the Blue Devils at forward, 6'4" junior number 24, Joshua Seliskar. And the head coach of the Blue Devils in his 11th year at Winter Haven, Mr. Tyrone Woodside. And now let's meet the Olympia Titans. And we'll start with 6'1" senior number 2, Jalen Brinson. 6'3" sophomore number 3, Tyree Bryan. And 5'11" sophomore number 12, Jackson Dillon. 5'11" sophomore number 21, Dwight Newsom. And finally for the Titans, 6'2" senior number 22, Watkins Kazoo. The head coach of the Titans in his second year at Olympia, Mr. Rob Gordon. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. Today's game is being webcast live on our YouTube channel, Metro vs. Florida Challenge. If you have friends and family who are not able to join us in person today, send them over to YouTube. Search for Metro vs. Florida Challenge. It works on your favorite computer, mobile device, or maybe even watch on the big screen TV if you have a smart TV that can watch YouTube. You can also get links to those videos as well as links to our live stats at our website at metrovsfl.com. That's metrovsfl.com. And make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook and Twitter feeds at metrovsfl. And welcome back to those of you joining us online. We are here live here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium at Apopka High School with game number 10 of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. My name is Mark Barchi, the media director for the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, and I am joined by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief. We'll be taking you through our 10th game as we approach the midpoint of our 9th annual event.
Well, thank you again, Mark, and as always, it's good to be back here. Of course, this is a yearly event. It's now held every January. It's a lot of work put in, as you've mentioned many times, Mark, but certainly the rewards that come out of it are much greater than the effort that needs to be put in. And now, of course, Apopka and Coach Scott Williams do a great job of hosting this with everything from the what's provided to us here at the scoring table to the talent player talent as well as the coaching talent. As you mentioned, this game is Olympia versus Winter Haven. If you're not familiar with this event, it's very simple. There are, I believe, 21 teams in the Metro Conference. They're all located in Orange County, and in each game, one team from the Metro Conference plays against a team from outside the Metro Conference, otherwise known as the Florida contingency. And at the end of the day, at the end of this event, 20 games, we add up how many Metro teams win versus the Florida teams.
Jackson Dillon for 3 on the pass from Dwight Newsom. And Neil, Olympia comes into this game absolutely riddled with injuries. I struck 4 players from their roster on the way in here as Eric Davis puts the Blue Devils on the board.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure, of course, Mark and I are the regular announcers, broadcasters for Wekiva, so we know Wekiva very well, but we don't. It's not like we have an opportunity to follow the other teams. But looking at the record, Olympia is 2-11, and I suspect that that does have something to do with these injuries being long-term.
Jacoby Lane with the go-ahead basket for Winter Haven.
So
yeah, they actually a total of 7 players on the roster for Olympia. So they've got the 5 on the court, and they only have 2 on the bench. And so they are battling hard this mid-season as they try to stay at least with a reasonably competitive season in spite of all the adversity and setbacks that they've had in their program this year.
Yeah, and a little bit of history here about Olympia. The school opened in the mid-90s. Mark Grisick was their first coach, and he quickly brought them up to state-level power. And I believe it was 2008, 2009. They actually made it all the way to the finals for the state championship.
Malachi Howard is called on a player control foul, his first, the team's first.
And about 7 years ago, Coach Grisick, who, by the way, we will see on Monday afternoon, he's now the coach of Windermere, he left. He decided it was time to move on. And since then, Olympia's been looking to regain that previous glory. They've pretty much been about a 500 team. Last year, they were 14-12. They did not make it out of the District 9A5 championship tournament, losing in the semifinals. Rob Gordon took over the program a couple of years ago. This is his second season. And again, as we mentioned, they have been riddled with injuries, and they have a 2-11 record. So even though Olympia is far from its previous glory under Coach Grisick, 2-11 is even far below what they're used to since Coach Grisick left. For those of you who follow high school basketball, Rob Gordon is a very familiar and well-known figure. Even aside from his coaching prowess, he's very animated, very vocal coach. That's just his style. He's a very nice guy. Again, I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, but over the years I've probably talked to him about a dozen times. He's always been very gracious to me and very affable, and I've enjoyed our conversations, but he's a very different man when he gets behind that bench.
Block is called against Titans number 22, Watkins Kazoo. That's his first, the team's first.
And again, as we can see, I'm looking over at Coach Gordon. I don't think he's taken more than 5 seconds off as far as yelling instructions to his players from the bench, and he hasn't sat down.
Foul called against number 21, Dwight Newsom. That's his first, the team's second.
So again, going back to the injuries, one last note here about Olympia. Because of that injury, they're not only dealing with losing a certain amount of skill and level, but they lose a lot of inexperience. They have several sophomores starting and seeing main rotation time. 6 sophomores are on the roster. So looking over at Winter Haven, this is a team very much like what we saw with Evans, aside from the fact that Evans did not have a particularly good year last year. Evans, of course, is known as a state championship contender every year, not being able to make it to the FHSA postseason tournament and winning at least 2 or 3 games and being considered at that point for a state championship is considered a bad year. The same is true of Winter Haven. Last night we saw Leesburg come in. The same was true of them too.
Team control foul is called against number 22. Watkins Kazoo, his second and the team's third.
So Winter Haven was 23-10 last year, 6-0 in their district. That's Class 8A, District 7. They were the 2018 regional champion, which means they made it all the way to the state Final Four. This year, though, they are on a bit of a downside, only 4-5 through December.
Tyrese Anglin picks up 2 for the Blue Devils.
So
Blue Devils deflect that one out of bounds. It stays with the Titans.
So again, at least on paper and specifically looking at the records and kind of the state of the program, this does look like it should be a competitive matchup. Obviously, we talked about this throughout the 2.5 days, Mark, that is the main goal of Coach Williams when he puts these matchups together. But this certainly looks like it's more likely to be competitive than a lot of the other matches when considering the stats and the records on paper.
Offensive foul is called against number 20, Marquise Rue. That's his first personal foul, the team's second. That charge taken by Crumble-Ele.
So one thing about Winter Haven, I guess you say there's a good and a bad side. They lost most of their starters, but they did have a very strong bench from that Final Four team last year, and they returned all 5 of them. That's the good. Obviously, the bad is that they lost a good portion of their starting lineup. So they have a lot of newcomers coming in who do have experience in key moments, but they are taking on different roles. And defense, as is the case with most teams nowadays, is basically their forte, their MO. Good, strong defense. If you can turn the ball over, that creates easy transition opportunities. Both teams so far, again, as is common nowadays, have gone man-to-man throughout the first quarter.
Foul called against Titans. Number 2, Jalen Brinson. That's his first personal foul, the team's fourth. At the line shooting 2, Jacoby Lane.
So with a minute and a half left, Mark, a very low-scoring game, only 10 points scored combined. Both teams have gotten their field goal attempts. They just have not been able to convert them. I'm sure both teams are under 40%. That time, though, good job at the line there. Was that one who shot? Jacoby Lane again, very nice form from him. Good release, good follow through, and his reward was a couple of free throws. And Winter Haven now has an 8-3 lead with just under a minute and a half left.
Isaiah Sanchez to Jackson Dillon, 4-3.
And even though it's early, that's a critical point there. Olympia needed to get some points, cut that lead back down, and get some momentum as far as its shooting game.
Brian misses the 2 there, and it goes out of bounds off of the Titans.
Yeah, and that really was the difference or the story of this ball game so far. Great work by Olympia to create that turnover. They're now going to a full court press, a 2-1-2. They get a second consecutive turnover, but they could not convert what should have been an easy basket. Just did not attack the basket right with the right angle and the right touch there. And for a second consecutive possession, again, they cannot get that to follow the turnover with the points, converting the basket.
And Tyrese Anglin is slow to get off the court. They'll send in a substitute here. We got Curtis Jefferson into the game for the Blue Devils. We'll also, while we're paused, send in Jacoby Lane. Jacoby Lane on the pass to Marquise Rue for the Blue Devil basket.
Well executed give and go there along the baseline. Nice lead pass. Who scored that?
And that was Rue, number 20. And the pass came from Lane. Like you said, beautiful motion there, Neil.
Yeah, and it was not just a beautiful pass because it caught Rue at mid-level, but it also was a nice lead pass. Rue didn't have to break stride. One other note, too, here, two players on Winter Haven. You can call them the Face. They're well-known throughout high school basketball. That's Tyrese Anglin and Joshua Seliskar, both our 2018 Polk Prep honorable mentions.
Foul is called against number 20, Marquise Rue. The three won't go for Brinson, and that takes us to the end of the first period. And it is a 4-point ball game, not a very high-scoring contest, but a close one nonetheless. 10-6, the Blue Devils have the advantage at the end of the first 8 minutes. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Burn Fat Orlando, where they challenge you to step on the scale every day. They're that confident because if you don't lose weight in the first 10 days, you'll get your money back. It's the money back guarantee at Burn Fat Orlando, where you can call 855-889-THIN. That's 855-889-THIN to get the tools and guidance you need to achieve better health and get your weight loss goals. With an inviting atmosphere, friendly staff, and customized programs, you can get real nutrition while losing weight. Burn Fat Orlando, where you can lose up to 30 to 40 pounds. The Blue Devils have the opening possession of the second period.
So as we get ready for the second quarter, looking at the stats here, it's really been a case of Olympia at least staying competitive despite not really being close to Winter Haven in those stats.
Team control foul is called against number 24, Joshua Seliskar, his first, and the team's fourth.
So Winter Haven has shot a very respectable 4-7, that's 44%. And again, just like we saw in the last game between Lake Noda in comparison to Winter Springs, 44% is respectable, it's solid, but nothing really catches your eye or to write home about. However, Olympia is 2 of 8 for 3-point and 0 of 5, so 2 of 13 combined, and that certainly sticks out.
Dwight Newsom, 4-3.
And Winter Haven's 44% certainly sticks out compared to Olympia. As soon as I say that, Olympia drains the tray. Cut the lead to 10-9, but they are really dominating Winter Haven on the boards at 11-3 advantage. What's keeping Olympia in this game and what's allowing them to be competitive is the turnovers. 6-1 Winter Haven.
Offensive charge is called against Joshua Seliskar, his second personal foul, the team's fifth. Jackson Dillon took the charge for the Titans.
And so now that's actually 8 turnovers for Winter Haven compared to 1 for Olympia. And obviously, for those of you who listen to me on a regular basis, you know turnovers is that stat that I always look at first. Because again, as I like to say, if you don't have the ball, you can't score.
Three won't go this time for Jackson Dillon. So far, it's been somewhat effective for Olympia.
Yeah, well, Olympia.
All 9 of their points have come from the perimeter. So far, they don't have much of a penetration game going against the Blue Devil defense. They're managing to keep it within 1 thanks to some successful perimeter shooting and the fact that they've been holding Winter Haven on defense to not getting a lot of field goals themselves. But I think if Olympia is going to be successful here, they're going to have to figure out the inside game eventually.
Yeah, they got to get at least a few points from the inside game. And again, what's keeping them in this game, and the reason it's only 1 point, is because of 8 turnovers by Winter Haven. That's allowed Olympia to get into transition. And when you're in transition, it's much easier to create open looks from behind the three-point arc.
Foul's called against number 21, Dwight Newsom. That's his second personal foul, the team's 5th.
So again, when you're in transition, you can move the ball more fluidically, and you have many more options. You can go inside, outside, or you can just rotate it around the perimeter. And that, of course, is once the ball is moving, the defense is not really set. Each individual player on defense has not established an area to defend yet.
So, Neil, on a programming note, if you've been watching these games all day, you know that we fell probably half an hour behind early on for a couple of reasons. We had the first game started late because Kathleen got held up in traffic as they had that long trip to make from the far side of Polk County, almost Hillsborough County, coming all the way out here. And so we started about 15-20 minutes late to get going. Then we had a very high foul game in that very first game with Kathleen. And so we got way behind. And then we had 2 running clock games in a row here that has allowed us to catch up. So on the one hand, you're always disappointed when it ends up being a running clock game because you like to see competitive contests. On the other hand, though, we were grateful for it because it has allowed us to get back on track with our 3:30 start time. So here we're going to have a timeout requested by the Titans, full timeout called by Olympia. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics. They are great supporters of all Orange County Public Schools, really fantastic partners in education, and in particular we want to thank a portion of their grant funding that has come to us here at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. You can get anything from traditional braces to ceramics, Invisalign, Clear Correct, and more, from the most traditional to the most innovative of all of the orthodontia that's available at Baptiste Orthodontics, and they now have 3 locations in Central Florida for your convenience. They're on Colonial Drive and Conroy Windermere Road, and then they've just now opened a 3rd location at 12 South Park Avenue. That's just across the street from Kitland Nelson Park. Here in Apopka, more convenient than ever for our Apopka community. They'll get you started with a free consultation and a free x-ray, no down payment, and then they can get you going with quality braces starting at $129 a month. Give them a call at 1-800-300-7755. That's 1-800-300-7755. And the Blue Devils were going to stand there and see if anybody noticed that it wasn't actually supposed to be their ball. I don't very often see that trick work, but you never know. It's worth a try.
Yeah, and Coach Gordon caught it right away. And as I mentioned, he's a very vocal and animated coach.
Well, it only makes sense. You can't call a timeout if you don't have possession, so one might reasonably have hoped. To the baseline, foul. Tyree Bryan is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The push is called against Mario Tullis. That's his first and the team's 6th.
6 or 7? 6.
And speaking of free throws, Mark, Winter Haven will be taking free throws the rest of the way. They will be in the bonus, at least when they're on offense. First 2 free throws taken by Olympia, only 4 total so far. And again, the turnovers continue to plague Winter Haven, and they're going to pay again.
Basket for the Titans by Isaiah Sanchez.
And this time, though, Olympia seems to have found a stroke, at least in finishing off those transition opportunities. That really was what killed them in the first quarter there. 6 turnovers for Winter Haven, but only 6 points for Olympia.
Traveling Blue Devils ball. Yeah, Tyree Bryan just didn't have his balance before he started dribbling there and left him with no choice but to walk with it. Checking into the game for Winter Haven, number 14, Eric Davis.
And now Olympia is on a 7-0 run here through the first half of the second quarter. We're going to get another turnover. Could see 9 in a row here from Olympia, and we do.
Isaiah Sanchez to Crumble Ale for 2.
And Winter Haven only has 1 field goal attempt compared to 5 for Olympia.
Thomas Davis for 2 and a chance to make it 3. The foul is called against number 20, Crumble Ale. That's his first personal foul on the team's 6th. Davis shooting 1.
So the streak of points comes to an end at 9 straight for Olympia. And when all's said and done, the lead is now 3 points. And as we mentioned a couple minutes ago, Mark, 2-point field goals were also killing Olympia. They were 0 of 5 in the first quarter. They missed the first couple of the second quarter. And again, they're still not shooting very well, but they've at least made a couple to throw in some balance with the 3-point field goal attempts.
Good steal by Lane. He just can't close with the layup. And on the other side, we're going to get Mario Tullis on the pass to Eric Davis for 2 Blue Devil points.
And so there, it's now 15-14. Opportunity for Olympia to extend that lead and continue to gain some momentum.
And they do with Tyree Bryan picking up 2.
So again, Olympia is doing much better, at least through the first half of this second quarter, as far as converting turnovers and finishing those turnovers into points. But they're still not they're still well below average.
Push is called against Titans number 1. Isaiah Sanchez is first, the team's 7th, and that's going to send Javin Thomas to the line, shooting 1-on-1 bonus.
You know, to be honest, Mark, even though Winter Haven's led for most of this game, Olympia shouldn't just be leading by 3 points. They should probably be up about 7 or 8. They've failed to convert some golden opportunities to score in this game at the end of transition opportunities.
Tyree Bryan picks up 2 from the baseline. And we're back to a 5-point game in what has been a 1-possession game for quite a while now. Nice work there by Crumble Ale as Curtis Jefferson lets the ball go out of bounds. Titans ball.
So as we mentioned at the start of the second quarter, Mark, turnovers kept Olympia in this ball game during that first quarter. Really derailed Winter Haven. They had 6, and now they're, I guess, increasing that level as they have 6. It's still 2 minutes left in the second.
Offensive charge called against Tyree Bryan, his first, the team's 8th. No bonus shots on offensive fouls, but it turns the ball over to the Blue Devils.
So
and that was Javon Thomas that took the charge there.
So a total of 12 turnovers, so I make that 13. 13 turnovers for Winter Haven. Olympia only has 3.
Well, there's your 5 points, because of those 13 turnovers, I haven't been keeping track, but I know at least probably half of them have resulted in points for the Titans.
Yeah, well, again, as I mentioned, this probably should be a bigger lead for Olympia when you look at turnovers. This is unusual in the fact that when you have 13 turnovers in less than a half of ball games, you're usually going to give up more than a 5-point lead.
Foul called against Blue Devils, number 5, Jevin Thomas. That's his first, the team's 7th.
Or you could look at the fact that you have 13 turnovers, and only 19 points.
One for 2 at the line for A-Lane. Isaiah Sanchez steals 2. Timeout Blue Devils. And I can't say I blame him for that, as he got to stop the bleeding here, even though there's only $1:28 left. And we're going to pause here for 30-second timeout requested by Winter Haven. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Elevate Orlando. They're a civic nonprofit that's focused on helping students to grow in strength of character and application of essential life skills. They do that both in the classroom with a partnership with Orange County Public Schools to offer an accredited elective course, and outside of the classroom where they get to spend at least half their time mentoring students. They have a 98% graduation rate and 96% placement beyond high school. Check them out, Elevate Orlando.
So I think it's important to point out, Mark, before that timeout there, Coach Woodside was yelling at one of his players specifically about his lack of movement today, and he's been yelling at his team in general about the lack of movement.
Hand check is called against Titans number 1, Isaiah Sanchez. It's his second personal foul, the team's 9th. And so for the last time, we'll go to the line for regular bonus with Timmy Watts shooting 1-1.
And I think Coach Woodside is really not just upset with the lack of movement, but the lack of movement without the ball. Turnovers are much more common, much more likely to occur if players without the ball are moving. And now Olympia has gone about 2 minutes ago to a full court trap. And when you're using a trap, you got to have somebody to pass the ball to. You have to have passing lanes, and that means moving without the ball.
No basket. Too many steps. Blue Devils ball.
A break there for Winter Haven. Now, of course, they've been having problems breaking this trap. Almost lost it there again, and they do on the pass. And again, there you can see where that lack of moving without the ball comes into play. There was just nowhere to pass the ball. The player who was eventually passed to had 2 defenders covering him. And they also had a couple of seconds to break on the ball, the defenders, that is. Some nice inside-outside passing there using the cutting lanes.
Yeah, speaking of movement, Neil, there's the counterpoints to what you've been hearing the Blue Devils criticized for. A lot of good movement from Olympia. Didn't result in points for him that time. You have to like the ball movement that you saw.
Yeah, I think that's a situation where any coach would be say they'd be willing to live with the missed field goal if they were able to create the field goal with that excellent passing. More times than not, you're going to be able to finish off that series of passing with points than not.
Held ball, possession Titans, and so that'll actually count as a turnover there since the possession arrow was in the favor of Olympia.
And now 15 turnovers for Winter Haven. And Winter Haven has gone to a full court trap as well. Actually, it's full court man-to-man.
We'll pause to dry the floor off here as players from both teams had to go to the ground to get that jump ball result.
Yeah, and again,
I guess they must be working at least a little bit. They've broken a sweat so far.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the contest, Coach Gordon is a very animated, active coach when he's on the sideline. So some of that sweat might be his. He has not sat down since the tip-off. And he has not stopped pacing up and down the bench either.
All right, 5 seconds left in the half.
Opportunity for Winter Haven.
They are going to convert. Malachi Howard gets the last word of the second quarter, and that'll take us to halftime with a 4-point ball game. The Titans on top 22-18, headed into the locker rooms here in Game 10 as we approach the halfway point of the 9th annual Metro versus Florida Challenge.
Give your horn at 3. Are you only putting 8 on? Yep. Keep everything on schedule. Why, you want 15?
So I guess guys.
Coach Williams.
Guys left for the
Halftime.
Huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your halftime stats. We'll begin with Winter Haven. And we have 2 points on the board for Malachi Howard, along with 5 rebounds. 2 points for Timmy Watts. 2 points for Marquise Rue, along with 3 rebounds. And 2 points for Tyrese Anglin. With 4 points in the book so far, Jacoby Lane, he also has an assist. And Eric Davis leads his team for the first half with 6 points and 3 rebounds for the Blue Devils. As for Olympia, 3 points each for Crumble Ale and Dwight Newsom so far. Newsom got his from behind the arc. Ale got a free throw and a regular basket. Ale also has a rebound in the books, and Newsom has an assist. Isaiah Sanchez with 4 points and 2 assists, along with 3 steals in the books so far for Olympia. And Tyree Bryan and Jackson Dillon co-lead their team with 6 points each. Bryan also has 1 rebound and 4 steals, and Dillon has 2 rebounds and 2 steals for the Titans. For those of you who are listening to us online, we're going to take a break for about the next 6.5 minutes, and then we'll be back for the second half of Game 10 here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium. 22-18, the Titans lead the Blue Devils at halftime. And welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium, home of the Blue Darters, and right now host to the Olympia Titans and the Winter Haven Blue Devils. As we head into the third quarter, a 4-point ball game. The Titans up over the Blue Devils at intermission here. We're going to start the half with a foul. Foul's called against number 14, Eric Davis. That's his first, the team's first of the half.
So Winter Haven opened up this game taking a 10-6 lead about halfway through the fourth quarter. Since then, Olympia has outscored Winter Haven now by a 17-8 margin. Overall, the score is 23-18, and they've got 18 points now. So Olympia has 24-18 lead. And again, kind of an odd-looking statistics here. As we mentioned after the first half, turnovers was what really was keeping Olympia in the ballgame as far as Winter Haven.
Basket scored by number 0, Malachi Howard.
Those turnovers were setting horrendous field goal percentage by Olympia. They opened 2 of 13.
Dwight Newsom.
So that field goal percentage is now up to 11 of 38. In particular, they were 0 of 5 in the first quarter against Olympia. They're now 8 of 25 for 2-point field goals. Now, Winter Haven has a very strong field goal percentage, 7 of 13. But again, 38 field goal attempts for Olympia compared to 13 for Winter Haven.
Malachi Howard to Eric Davis.
And over the course of today, Mark, we have seen one of the teams getting a 2-to-1 advantage in field goal attempts. But this is the first time it's almost 3. Again, 38-13 at half in favor of Olympia for field goal attempts. And Winter Haven has now 16 turnovers.
Kazoo's basket wanted to go in and just couldn't get it to do it.
On the other hand, Winter Haven does hold an 18-7 advantage in rebounding. So we've really seen a tale of two halves in that first half, Mark, with, of course, Winter Haven taking a 10-6 lead, and since then Olympia building a 4-point lead. But we can also see the same, a tale of two halves or two stories in the statistics, as none of them are really close. Half of them are being dominated by Winter Haven and the other half by Olympia.
Foul's called against number 12, Jackson Dillon. That's his first personal foul. The team's first basket by Eric Davis is good. He's shooting for the 3-point play.
Did he make one of two?
The basket was good.
Right 22.
Push is called against number 22, Watkins Kazoo is third, the team's second.
So we did mention at the beginning of the game, Mark, that Olympia has really suffered a number of injuries.
Malachi Howard from Seliskar.
And these are not just injuries who miss a game or two. My guess, although I'm not familiar with Olympia, but they were only 2-11 through the end of December, so I assume at least a couple of those injuries have been to key players and have been for more than a game or two.
3-point basket scored by Jalen Brinson.
So again, we can get even lower on that whole idea of a tale of two stories here and get more specific than the stat. You can look at one specific stat, and that's 3-point field goal shooting. Olympia was 2 of 8 in the first quarter, and as we mentioned, that's what basically kept them in the game along with the turnovers. Those 6 points, it was 10-6 at one point, and those 6 points were on 2 3-point field goals. It then went 1 of 5 in the second quarter. So from 2 of 8 to 1 of 5.
And the Blue Devils have not led since it was 10-6 early in the first period. And And so now they actually had the game tied momentarily until the three broke that. A couple threes in a row aren't going to go here. Checking into the game for the Blue Devils, number 21, Tyrese Anglin.
So Olympia also converted 8 of 22-point field goals in the second quarter, which again in itself is nothing to write home about, nothing that catches the eye, but they failed to make any in the first quarter. And you mentioned, Mark, in a game like this where Winter Haven just can't seem to hold on to the ball with any consistency, you do need to at least convert a few of your 2-point field goal attempts.
Foul called against number 1. Jacoby Lane is first, the team's second.
So both teams, again, remaining in man-to-man defense. There's been a variety of how they employ that. But for the most part, both teams have played man-to-man throughout this contest. Strong rebound there, going up and tipping it to the teammate, Textbook.
Yeah, that was Crumelele there who pulled that off for the Titans.
And now Olympia being very patient here, waiting for the right shot.
And after many attempts, finally Seliskar gets the rebound after the Titans unable to convert there. To the baseline, good idea, but Seliskar can't bring it under control, and it gets stolen by Bryant to the other end in transition. Layup won't go, offensive board, no good there either. And finally it is Tyree Bryan gets the third chance basket for the Titans.
So, and how many times have we seen that, the turnover leading to an Olympia basket?
Seliskar on the pass to Davis, and we'll pause for a full timeout requested by the Blue Devils with a 3-point ball game. And ladies and gentlemen, we will take this opportunity to call your attention to the program. If you didn't have a chance to grab one on your way in, make sure that you go out and get one. They're just $1 each. It actually costs us more than that to make them, but we want to make sure that all of you have an opportunity to get one because it has a lot of great information in there. We have a complete schedule of the entire 20-game showcase. We also have season outlooks, rosters, and team information for all 39 teams that are participating. And there you'll also find our schedule, which tells you that coming up next at a 5 o'clock start time, we have the Dr. Phillips Panthers taking on the Melbourne Bulldogs in the Bulldogs' first ever Metro versus Florida Challenge appearance, so we'll look forward to welcoming them for the first time. Then coming up later, we have the Apopka Blue Darters, your host school, will be hosting the Eustis Panthers, and then we'll finish up our third day of Metro versus Florida Challenge action with the West Orange Warriors taking on the Auburndale Bloodhounds. Then we'll give you a day off to spend with your families, but on Monday we're back for 7 more games right here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium.
So again, here with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, Mark, we've had a tremendous Winter Haven team when it comes to field goal shooting over 50%, but they can't hold on to the ball. They're up to 19 turnovers, and actually the 3 they've committed this period is a decrease, a significant decrease. On the other hand, you look at Olympia, again, they were 11 of 38 shooting the ball, very poor shooting team, and we've seen that throughout the game. A number of turnovers have failed to be converted, but they don't turn the ball over. They value the ball. Only 4 turnovers up to this point.
Cromalele is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Titans. Blue Devil foul is called against number 14, Eric Davis, his second and the team's third.
So opportunity here to increase the lead to 5. And I believe that would be the largest margin for Olympia. They've led since about 5 minutes were left in the second quarter, but they have never led by more than 3 points.
Checking into the game for the Titans, number 3, Tyree Bryan. And for the Blue Devils, Jevin Thomas.
So Olympia now 7 of 8 at the free throw line. So they also shoot. They can't shoot the ball from the floor, but they can shoot it from the free throw line.
Yeah, and so far the Blue Devils have been putting them there enough to make a difference. A lot of activity going on at the floor there. And ultimately, it's much sound and fury signifying nothing as we end up right back where we started. Spinning into the paint, we've got Joshua Seliskar with the Blue Devil basket.
A soft touch there needed, and that's exactly what the shot was, soft.
Newsom's jumper is not so soft and doesn't go in. Anglin on the rebound.
Again, Olympia remaining in man-to-man defense. Nice pass inside and a nice move. Olympia actually catching a break with the ball not falling through the net.
Seliskar is fouled on the attempt to go to the line and shoot 2. The foul called against Isaiah Sanchez's third, the team's third.
So an opportunity for Winter Haven to cut the lead back down to 1 point. Again, mentioned a couple minutes ago, despite Winter Haven's penchant for turning the ball over and Olympia pretty much righting their ship during the second period, Winter Haven has still managed to score enough to give themselves an opportunity to win.
Yeah, that's still, in spite of everything, is a one-possession ball game.
And a lot of shots that Olympia have taken just did not go in. They've had some good looks at the basket, but the ball just didn't bounce. They just don't have the right touch, not the right angle, the right touch. That was just a bad decision altogether to throw the ball up at the net.
White 21 or blue 21? White 21. I know, but I just want to double check.
Foul called against Titans number 21, Dwight Newsom, his third personal foul, the team's fourth. And so, Neil, to your point, you got to give the Blue Devils credit. It's been a scrappy ball game. Ball handling has left something to be desired. Shooting has left something to be desired. And yet, in spite of all of that, they are still just 2 points behind.
Well, you could really say the same for both teams.
Isaiah Sanchez adds 2 for the Titans.
You could say the same for both teams now as Olympia goes back to their full-court man-to-man defense. Again, Olympia has really struggled shooting the ball, less than 30%, maybe even 25%.
Tyree Bryan is called on the hit. That's his second personal foul, the team's fifth. At the line, shooting 2, Eric Davis. And now this is something that Coach Gordon is going to have to be careful of since he only has 2 subs on the bench. He now has 3 players with 3 fouls. And now Bryan here picks up his second. So as we get into the last quarter, he's going to have to pay attention to that because he cannot afford a foul out. Otherwise, he's going to have no choice, but he's not going to be able to rest his players at all.
2 missed free throws there. Again, Winter Haven making some more mistakes. Winter Haven was 4 of 6 at halftime from the line. They're now 1 of 5.
Brinson is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against number 5, Javon Thomas. That's his second personal foul, and the team's fourth.
So Winter Haven 1 of 5 here in the third quarter. Olympia shoots the ball very well. As I said before, they can't seem to find the bucket from the floor, but they do shoot well at the free throw line. They've only missed 1 free throw here.
As they are now 9 of 10, those 9 points seem really important when you're only up by 5.
Yeah, and you can't shoot well from the floor. So again, and I know I mentioned this a number of times in the third quarter, but it really is the crux of this game, or if you want the story. Olympia cannot shoot the ball from the floor. They're under 25%, but they don't turn the ball over. Only 5 throughout the game, and they shoot well at the free throw line, 9 of 10.
Seliskar fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against Tyree Bryan. That's his 3rd personal foul, and the team's 6th. So now 4 Olympia Titans with 3 fouls each.
And looking at Winter Haven, they're the complete opposite. They shoot the ball very well. They're shooting at about 53% clip, but they don't get a lot of attempts because they're turning the ball over. Olympia has roughly a 3-to-1 advantage in field goal attempts and a 4-to-1 advantage in turnovers. However, Winter Haven rebounds the ball very well. They have a 2-to-1 advantage in that department.
Yeah, you feel like if you could only mix and match the best of both teams, you'd have something really special here.
And there's yet another turnover.
Yeah, you just heard the coach say, why are we turning into the trap? It's a good question.
And now, just like at the end of the second quarter, Olympia is going to hold on to the ball for the last shot. And I think that's a very good decision. Again, when you don't shoot the ball well, you don't want to set your opponent up to get another transition opportunity. And again, Winter Haven shoots the ball well in the few that they do have the opportunity. Right now, Olympia has gained the momentum. They're not playing the most prettiest of basketball, but they're doing enough to maintain that lead. And you don't want to give Winter Haven an opportunity to change that direction.
And that takes us to the end of the third period, and we've got ourselves a ball game. Still just a 4-point differential here. The Titans remain on top. They have led since early in the fourth quarter when they were trailing 6-10. But we are definitely going to have a photo finish here as we head into the end of Game 10 of the Metro versus Florida Challenge. 37-33 is the score at our last break of this game. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at AM 1520 WBZW. They are great sponsors and supporters of Apopka Blue Darter Athletics all season long, but in particular we want to thank them for their generous promotion of the Metro versus Florida Challenge, helping us to get the word out about this 20-game showcase to our greater Apopka area. If you're not in range of hearing them on the radio, that's okay. You can also get them online. They live stream 24/7. We also want to thank the city of Apopka, in particular Commissioner Kyle Becker, for his support of Apopka High School and the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Hold is called against Titans number 20, Crumbalele. That's his second personal foul, the team's 7th. Checking into the game for him is Watkins Kazoo. And at the line shooting is Joshua Seliskar, bonus. So finally the bonus free throws come into play, Neil, and that's the second foul. So I mean, I guess we can at least, if there's good news to be had here for Olympia, it's that in spite of the fact they only have 7 people on the roster, they have been spreading the fouls out. Even though they have cumulatively 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 fouls among their 7 players, they are spread out evenly among those 7 players.
Yeah, very balanced scoring there by Olympia, proportionally to the roster, very high.
3-point basket by Jackson Dillon on the pass from Isaiah Sanchez.
And so as we begin the fourth quarter, again, nothing has changed. I know I keep harping on it, but it's the story of the game. Olympia 12 of 42, that's only 28.6%, but they continue to hold on to the ball, only 6 turnovers and 9 of 10 at the free throw line. Winter Haven is shooting 60%, 13 of 20.
Hold is called against number 22, Watkins Kazoo. That's his 4th personal foul, the team's 8th. At the line shooting 1-1, Joshua Seliskar. And so now finally Titan has hit the 4 foul mark, so we'll see if that has an impact as we head into the last 7 minutes of the game.
And so again, 60% from the floor by Winter Haven, 13 of 20, but they're giving up 22 more on the other end to Olympia, and they also have a 26 to 15 rebounding advantage. But again, the 22 turnovers, it sticks out there. And by the way, Coach Gordon did not agree with that foul. You probably could hear him pleading his case to the refs. Oh, and a rare rebound on the offensive end for Olympia, which another odd stat is that Olympia had 8 offensive rebounds. They actually have 9 now, and only 7 defensively.
Tyree Bryan to Jackson Dillon for 3.
And there you see just why that offensive rebound was so important. Not a lot of offensive rebounds for Olympia, but when they have made them, they have made those rebounds count. 7-point lead for Olympia, the largest of the game.
Who just scored? Victoria, who just scored?
Timeout, Olympia. 30-second timeout. 6:16.
We'll pause here for a 30-second timeout requested by the Titans. 30-second timeout for Olympia. And again, we'll let you know that we've still got a lot more basketball action for you today. This is game 10, I should say, and it is just about halfway through our Saturday basketball action for you. We have the Melbourne Bulldogs waiting to join us for the very first time. It took 9 years, but we did get Melbourne over here to face the Dr. Phillips Panthers, a very storied basketball program. And that'll be happening next. It's scheduled for a 5 o'clock start, and we might just make that on time. That's coming up next here at the Metro vs. Florida Challenge.
So a 5-point lead now by Olympia, but they really do have the advantage here because they're the team that can re-extend that lead. Now they just gave it up there. We've talked all game about how the turnovers have killed Winter Haven. They're up to 22 now, and then Olympia makes one. But again, Winter Haven returns the favor there. And so now, like you say, no pain, no gain, nothing really changed. Olympia with the opportunity to re-extend the lead to 7, 3 possessions. And with 6 minutes, just under 6 minutes left, that does really change the direction, the feel of the game, in particular strategy and tactics. Another offensive rebound on this possession for Olympia. 2 more offensive rebounds, and that's going to be rewarded with a couple shots from the free throw line.
Block is called against number 24, Joshua Seliskar. That's his 4th personal foul, the team's 6th. At the line shooting is number 3, Tyree Bryan.
So throughout this game, I've talked extensively about how Winter Haven has really dominated Olympia on the boards there, and then suddenly the last couple of possessions, the rebounding has come alive for Olympia. They have 5 over the last 2 possessions, and as I just said, they were rewarded with a couple of free throws here and an opportunity to re-extend the lead back to 7 points, and they're successful. And now Olympia, they've been pretty much in a full court defense the whole second half here. They're not using a trap anymore, but they do remain in man-to-man. And Jacoby Lane forces the issue, and he gets the reward of 2 free throws.
Basket is good by Jacoby Lane. He's at the line shooting for the 3-point play. The foul called against Jalen Brinson.
And again, the offensive rebounding continues for Olympia. They did not score it, but they did give themselves another opportunity. Exactly 5 minutes left.
Offensive charge is called against our Blue Devils number 1, Jacoby Lane, his second. And of course we won't shoot bonus shots on an offensive foul, but it does turn the ball over to Olympia.
Yeah, Mark, and let's just remember, we still got 4 minutes, 40 seconds left. Both teams are in the bonus. Well, a bit of a sloppy pass there. Good job by Watkins Kazoo to come down with that ball.
White 22, white 22.
Fouls called against number 22, Watkins Kazoo. That's his 5th personal foul. He retires from the game with 2 rebounds. Checking into the game for him is number 20, Crumbelele. And at the line shooting 2, Curtis Jefferson.
And if you couldn't hear it, it was rather a heated discussion. Tyrone Woodside, the coach of Winter Haven, got on Malachi Howard's case about that pass that I was explaining. Said the pass was way too high. In the meantime, a bit of a break there for Winter Haven and Watkins Kazoo, as Olympia really did not need to make that foul. Olympia comes up with another break here, as Winter Haven actually did do a great job of forcing a turnover, but couldn't quite grasp the ball, keep control of it. And now also a bad foul on Winter Haven's part.
Foul called against number 5, John Thomas. Newsom hits the first of 1-and-1, so we'll get another.
And again, free throw shooting has been essential, critical to Olympia. I've only missed 1 throughout the game, and again, they come up big at the line, re-extend the lead to 5 points. So it's not just 2 possessions, but it's the top end of the 2 possessions. Somewhere in there, Winter Haven has to get a 3-point play.
Jacoby Lane picks up 2 for the Blue Devils.
A sliding layup there. Nice job by Lane. Took advantage of that open lane. Hasn't been open a lot, so made the most of it.
Foul called against number 1, Isaiah Sanchez on the block. It's his 4th personal foul. At the line shooting 2 for double bonus. Number 1, Jacoby Lane. So now a second player with 4 fouls, and if he fouls out, then you're going to be locked with the same 5 for the rest of the game.
Two shots. That's what I was thinking. After the first shot. Because I didn't know if the bucket went in, if it didn't.
Wow. That was a golden opportunity for Winter Haven, and they did not convert. That's also deflating to a team, Mark, because you work really, really hard to create that opportunity to cut into the lead, and then you don't.
Crumbalele gets the basket and a chance to make it a three-point play. The foul is called against number 22, Curtis Jefferson. That'll be his first personal foul and the team's 9th.
And wow, Mark, that is a critical play with 3:29 left. What could have been a one-point lead, and Winter Haven getting a couple of solid possessions and cutting into that lead, and both of them can now get all the way back up to 6 points in Olympia. 3 seasons of momentum with that.
Isaiah Sanchez back in for Olympia.
And again, Olympia has not rebounded the ball well all game until about 2 minutes ago. That's 4 possessions now. Out of, I believe, the last 6, they've come down with an offensive rebound. And they've scored on 3 of those 4 offensive rebounds.
30-second timeout, 3:19 in the fourth.
30-second timeout requested by the Winter Haven Blue Devils. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Burn Fat Orlando, who encourage you to step on the scale every day because they have a money-back guarantee. If you don't lose weight in the first 10 days, they'll refund your money. Give them a call at 855-889-THIN. That's 855-889-THIN, where you can lose up to 30 to 40 pounds with the tools and guidance you need to achieve better health and your weight loss goals. With an inviting atmosphere, friendly staff, and personalized programs that will connect you with real nutrition and strong support for fast results. BurnFatOrlando.com.
And Olympia remaining in full court man-to-man here with 3 minutes, 15 seconds left.
Traveling. Titans ball. And Neil, I feel like, Winter Haven has been right on the edge of being able to tip the scales and then just has not been able to do it yet. They led 10-6 early in the first quarter. They've been tied. They've been within 3. They've been within 2. And they just have not been able to get a couple of unanswered baskets in a row.
Yeah, the largest lead for Olympia has been 7 points. And again, I know I keep saying it over and over, but it's turnovers.
Basket by Malachi Howard from Seliskar.
26 turnovers, and I don't think there's a coach around at any level in any sport who's going to say we should win when we turn the ball over 26 times.
Dwight Newsom picks up 2 for the Titans. Push is called against Blue Devils number 5, Javon Thomas. That's his 4th personal foul, the team's 10th, and that will put the Titans into double bonus. At the line, shooting 2, number 2, Jalen Brinson.
So 2 minutes, 49 seconds left, Mark, and Olympia will be shooting 2 the rest of the way. And again, we've mentioned this throughout the game. Excellent shooting team from the free throw line. Can't make anything off the floor, but at the free throw line, they are money. They've missed only 1 free throw.
Jackson Dillon comes back in for the Titans.
17 of 18 at the free throw line for Olympia, and almost another turnover by Winter Haven.
Yeah, good work there by Seliskar managing to save that one.
But see, even though that ball was not turned over, that was a wasted possession by Winter Haven because they were not able to get a good shot. They were trying to still recover from the turnover. They weren't really able to get that pass into the middle with a player who had set his feet down there and be able to turn around into the basket.
And so in that case, the near miss becomes just as damaging as an actual turnover.
And now Olympia with an 8-point lead, the largest of the game. They can take some time off the clock here, and that looks like what they're doing. Again, they are a more methodical, systematic team than Winter Haven, but this looks like it's intentional.
Tyree Bryant floats in a layup for 2.
So a 10-point lead now, 2 minutes left, and that was a nice move there by Bryant, using his body as a shield in the bank on the board.
Jacoby Lane coast to coast. And I think there must have been like a cockroach on the floor or something, because Coach Gordon seemed to be stomping around pretty madly there for a second. Third chance basket made by Tyree Bryant on the layup, and we'll pause for a timeout with a buck and a half left in this ball game, and it's the largest lead of the game for the Titans. A 10-point advantage, 58-48 is the score as we head into the last minute and 30 seconds, and the Titans request a full timeout. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot more basketball action coming your way. Up next in this contest, we'll switch gears to Dr. Phillips versus Melbourne. That promises to be a great contest. And again, it's coming up next, scheduled for a 5 o'clock start. We might not make that exactly, but we'll be pretty darn close as we try to stay on time here for the last 3 games of this day 3 of action here at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Then coming up later tonight, we'll have the Apopka Blue Darters, the host school, taking on the Eustis Panthers, and then we'll wrap it up with West Orange against Auburndale. We also want to thank our signature sponsor, St. Germain Chiropractic, with the best non-invasive healthcare services in the Central Florida, Orlando area. They accept most insurance, and they can help you with back and neck pain, headaches, auto accident injuries, slip and fall injuries, and other kinds of musculoskeletal conditions. When in pain, call St. Germain.
So 1 minute, 30 seconds left, 90 if you want to do all seconds. And Mark, what's really impressed me here is Olympia seems to have developed those statistical parts of their game here in the fourth quarter, just enough to be able to get that 12-point lead. Now it's 10.
Lane to Celiscar for 2. Nice move there, very unselfish play.
Yeah, Olympia only had 8 offensive rebounds through the first 3 quarters. They've had 6 here in the fourth.
Brian DeBrinson to answer for the Titans.
And those 6 points, those 6 those 6 offensive rebounds have resulted in, I believe, 8 points. I know there's been at least 3 possessions in which they've gotten those offensive rebounds. Looked like Winter Haven had stopped Olympia, and I think that's just going to do it. 10-point lead with 45 seconds, and Winter Haven is not fouling. So again, Olympia rallies from behind, although only a 4-point lead, but as the game wore on, none of their statistics outside of the turnover and free throw shooting, which was 8 turnovers and 16 of 17 free throws, sticks out. But over the course of the game, you can see steady improvement in taking advantage of Winter Haven's problem of turnovers, not only in the fact that they were able to score off those turnovers, but those turnovers limited Winter Haven to a 2-1 deficit in field goal attempts.
Fouls called against number 24, Joshua Celiscar. His 5th personal foul. He retires from the game with 10 points and 6 rebounds for the Blue Devils. Jalen Brinson will shoot 2.
And of course, you just mentioned it, Mark, but again, as we get ready to go off the air here for this game, next up, Dr. Phillips against Melbourne, a very interesting matchup. Of course, Dr. Phillips, one of the state powerhouses, 20-plus seasons of at least 20 wins, along with making it to the regional semifinal round of the FHSAA postseason tournament. That's the round of 16, taking on a Melbourne team looking to rebound from an average season. They are very much like Dr. Phillip, always expected to make a deep run into the postseason tournament in their first appearance in this event.
That takes us to the end of the ball game, and it is ultimately a 12-point victory for the Titans. 62-50 is the final score after those last couple of free throws. And the Titans notch a victory for the Metro Conference, and for the first time since we started this event, the Metro Conference is in the lead. 9 games done, and the score now 5-4 in favor of the Metro. They've had a very good day today so far. Dr. Phillips will see if they can continue that next as we welcome the Melbourne Bulldogs for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out in person or for viewing online on our YouTube channel, Metro vs. Florida Challenge. If you are watching us online, please be aware that each of these games is its own separate event on YouTube, so you will need to exit this video and get into the next one on our main channel page. You can also get the links from our website, metrovsfl.com. We'll be back in about 9.5 minutes with game number 11 of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, Dr. Phillips versus Melbourne, coming up next.